thank you so much for tuning in. So I'm going to speak to you guys today about how we can take on more spiritual energy. Okay, this sounds like a very exciting thing, right? How can we take on more spiritual energy? So if you are someone who is on the spiritual path, someone who is really committed to growing spiritually, to developing themselves spiritually, then you want to make sure that you don't end up staying stuck, okay? That you continue to make spiritual advancements in your journey. And so the way I see it is that every time we work on ourselves, okay, every time we integrate a lesson, we heal a trauma, okay, we receive like a small spiritual initiation that moves us along to the next stage of our evolution, yeah, of our soul growth. And when this happens, we gain more spiritual energy. We're able to take on more spiritual energy. As long as we have blocks, okay, in our auric field, as long as there are unhealed traumas, things that we're not looking at, we're not confronting, then, you know, basically when we're not healing, it is more difficult, okay? It is difficult to take on more spiritual energy because there is literally no room, okay, for you to take on more energy. You need to kind of make space for it, and you need to you need to make space for it, and you need to basically have that strength to be able to carry more light in you, yeah. And when we do that, when we take on more spiritual energy, it gives us more power, and that can be creative power, okay, and it can be power for healing ourselves and for healing others. So I'm going to go through a few ways in which, you know, just a few things that we could be looking at. And really what we want to be looking at is how we are spending our energy, okay? And I like this term spending. I actually got it from Carolyn Myss, who is a medical intuitive. She's written several books, and I was listening to her speak about this once. She was speaking about, you know, how people use their energy, and was kind of relating it to how people spend their money, saying that it's pretty much the same thing, right? The way you manage your money determines, you know, what you create in your life, and the, you know, your ability to have certain experiences in your life. So basically it's the same for your energy, yeah. The way you utilize your energy also determines, you know, the type of experiences you're going to have, what you're going to be able to create in your life. So when we're looking at how we use our energy, we want to look at where are we investing our energy and where are we losing our energy. So to give you an example, right, a very simple example of, if we're looking at money, for instance, right, if there's something that you really want and you know that you need a certain amount of money to have that thing, but if you are not focused on generating the amount of money you need for that particular thing, and instead you're just frivolously spending money on things that you don't need and you don't really want, well then that isn't going to leave you with enough money to buy the thing that you really wanted. So the same principle can be applied to your energy, okay? So let's look at some of the ways in which you may be currently managing your energy. So do you spend a lot of time worrying? Because often when we are worrying about things, we are either sending a lot of energy into our past, or we're sending a lot of energy into the future, okay? A time that doesn't even exist, okay? The past is stuff that has already happened, and the future is not worth worrying about because we don't even know if any of that stuff is going to happen, right? So we want to be able to keep our energy right here in the present moment, which is where all the magic happens, which is where we can make the correct choices, where we can actually create the kind of life that we want to. Yeah. So when we send energy into the past, what we're doing is we're keeping the past alive by giving it our attention, something that's not even happening anymore. By ruminating on it and focusing on it, all you're doing is leaking your precious energy into the past when you need that energy right here, right now, to be able to actually create the future that you want. Yeah. When something happens in your day that annoys you, what do? Okay. Are you able to just let it go? Or are you one of those people that is now going to carry that thing, whatever it was, through the rest of your day? You know, do you go away and talk to your friends about it? You know, do you post it up on social media? Is it that one thing's just going to keep replaying in your head over and over again? Or are you one of those people that in the moment that that annoyance happens, that you're actually able to alchemize it? Because that's what you really want to be doing. The moment that thing happens that irritates you, okay, you want to learn to be able to basically see that as an opportunity now for you to use your energy correctly, okay, by transmuting it, by alchemizing it into a better feeling perspective. Do you waste time and energy doing things that you don't really want to do? And this is a difficult one because sometimes, you know, we are in jobs that we need, that we don't particularly enjoy, and jobs can take up a whole chunk of our time. Yeah. And it's not that easy to just to walk away. So that is something that takes time to transition out of. Yeah. And that really is a case of you learning self-love as much as possible and embodying the energy of that. Okay, where you start to make just little different choices in your life where you choose to do something that actually makes your heart sing, okay, over something that you don't really want to do. So it means that you've got to kind of start small, okay, with these things. You have to be willing to, like, say no to people. Like, if there's someone you don't want to hang out with, you've got to be able to be honest enough and love yourself enough, basically, to say no, not tonight, not really what I want to do. You know, it's things like that. So when you slowly start to get to know what it actually feels like to make choices that feel more self-loving, that feel more like you, that feel more like where you're not choosing to betray yourself anymore, you start to embody that energy more, and then it becomes easier then to not do the bigger things that you don't really want to do. And then eventually what you do is you start putting more energy and more focus into activities that you genuinely love doing. And when you start doing that, you will find that actually doing those things gives you more energy, because when we spend energy doing things we don't really want to do, we feel drained. You know, we can feel depleted. Doing things that we love and that, you know, genuinely bring us a sense of fulfillment and joy can energize us. Also, the other thing you want to be careful of is if you are doing a lot of things just to please other people. Okay, so that is you spending a lot of energy into just making other people feel good and happy, whilst you're actually neglecting your own needs, and you're not actually fulfilling your own needs and what you need to do. So, and we shouldn't actually be serving others from an empty cup anyway, okay, because that just further depletes us as well, and it's not good for anyone. So if you're doing this, then there could be some kind of underlying deeper issue going on there that needs to be addressed, some kind of wound where maybe the reason that there is a lot of doing things to please others at the expense of your own needs is perhaps it has become the way in which you seek validation or you seek approval from others. Yeah, and so a lot of your self-worth may be attached to, you know, what other people think and how they feel about you. Yeah, so that's something to look at. Okay, so are you really crap at containing your energy around others? Okay, now what would this look like? Now, are you one of those people, you go out and you just have no concept perhaps of other people's space? Perhaps you have a tendency to be a bit invasive, and you just kind of go out and you just pour yourself over everybody. Yeah, because that is kind of an indication that, you know, there's like a boundary issue going on there. Yeah, and so you kind of have this tendency to basically leak energy over other people. Is there like perhaps a neediness, you know, a clinging, a need to kind of attach yourself to others? Yeah, is there some kind of attention seeking behavior going on? We need to be honest with ourselves if we are doing this, okay? Because this is an indication of what you're doing with your energy. And it's basically telling you that you have a tendency to leak your energy over others, or that you are someone who feels you need to reach into others to gain energy, and so for some reason you're not generating enough of your own energy. Okay, so you want to look at if you fall into any of those categories. Yeah, so the thing is that with our actual energy field, our auric field, sometimes, okay, the reason we are doing these things is because there could be like a tear or a hole in the actual auric field. Yeah, and this can happen from like the use of substances such as alcohol or psychedelic drugs. It can happen from us just having certain habits, you know, certain traumas, you know, really deep-seated traumas, perhaps even an overuse of our energy centers. We end up causing these tears in the field, and then that means that, you know, there will be energy leaking, so there is a need for healing work to be done there. And if you feel like as though you're constantly kind of having to look to others to get energy, then there is a real need there for you to strengthen your own life force. And sometimes what can happen is, what you might want to do is you might want to pay attention as well to, like, if you are around someone that perhaps you know, has quite a problematic life, and they have this tendency to kind of pour their problems over you. You know, they might spend a long time talking to you about their problems, and they kind of offload it all on you, and then, you know, and they feel loads better now, they feel fantastic. But you, on the other hand, might feel a little bit heavy, and, you know, perhaps, you know, you feel depleted, you feel drained. Now, why is that? And the thing is, this can be really true of empaths particularly as well, because empaths have a tendency to absorb energy. And so if you are an empath, you really would need to protect yourself, learn how to protect your energy field if you are around people like that. Do you talk excessively? Okay, we can lose a lot of energy through talking too much. Yeah, and the thing is that we really need to learn to conserve our energy for the things that we really want to be doing. So this, I think, kind of naturally happens with spiritual growth, is that we may change the way that we communicate with people, and we may choose to not to engage in sort of superficial or shallow conversations or gossiping and things like that, or just generally just talking about things that don't really need to be talked about. So naturally, as you spiritually grow, you will find that you may not want to speak that much, because your energy is really precious, and you may not want to sit around just talking for hours with people. You may find that it's just completely unnecessary, and that, if there's something that needs to be said, you'll say it. If there's something that is to be said that will be of service to someone, you'll say that thing. So you may find that, you would rather perhaps be around people that you can have more just deep, meaningful conversations with. Okay, and what about your thinking? Okay, your thoughts, because your thoughts are energy as well. So what type of thoughts are you engaging in all day? Are you just kind of repeating the same thoughts, recycling through the same thoughts throughout the day, and not really creating any new thoughts? Yeah, so that's something else to look at, is your thinking habits. Okay, because if we're just recycling through the same thoughts, that's kind of a waste of energy. Yeah, and what we really want to be able to do is to learn to consciously choose our thoughts, is to really get some control over our minds, because I think this is one of the biggest things that people suffer from, is an overactive mental field. If we don't get hold of these things, then it's going to make creating new things in our life and healing our bodies a lot more challenging. So we've got to get a hold of these things. Okay, anyway, hope you really enjoyed listening to this video. If you have any questions, then don't be afraid to ask, and I'm gonna wish you a very beautiful day. I hope you move forward with love in the rest of your day.